Welcome back to the Chasing Happiness podcast, an honest podcast about finding happiness, what it really means, and the process of getting there. My name is Crystal, and today I am joined by a wonderful woman who is a wife, a mother, and I love this description on the website more than anything else. The quote is, "Get shit done and enjoy life expert," which I think is fantastic, Sasha. So my first question for you before you introduce yourself to the Chasing Happiness community is, where did that quote come from? How did that become a thing, especially to be bold enough in your life to put that on your website? I think is fantastic. So where did that come from?
Oh my God, I love that. I think it's my natural persona of just trying to be efficient and effective. And I ain't got time. I got other things I want to do with my life. I ain't got time to worry about drama. I ain't got time to think about a decision 20 million times. Let's go. Let's get it done. Move on. Because I want to spend my time being happy instead of stressful or worried.
I absolutely love that. So for everybody who's listening who maybe doesn't know you or hasn't been exposed to you, give everybody sort of a brief description of who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, hello, everybody. I am Sasha Morozov. I'm a former executive. I have my master's in social work, and I now utilize my clinical skills to work with working moms who are killing it at the office, but feel like they're failing at home to have more time, less clutter, and systems for a peaceful life. I believe that we as women are amazing. We don't need more skills or more education or more da-da-da-da-da. It's just we need to get it back to basics. So I've developed a 4-step method where we coach women to focus on their self first, on their home, on relationships, and end with habits and routines to be set up for success.
I love this. And I love this for a number of reasons. There are hundreds of women who listen to this podcast who are moms and who struggle as moms. And we live in this world that is consistently telling moms, well, you should know how to do everything. You should have it all together. You should. And the truth is, being a mom is complicated. It's complex. It's different for every woman based on whatever the experience is. You can have, my best friend had a baby at 3 years old. She found out she was now pregnant with twins and she was suddenly going to have 3 kids. That's a different kind of mothering experience. Every child is different. You are different at every stage in your life as you become a parent at different stages in your life. So why on earth would we tell women, especially mothers, you should know? How on earth are you supposed to know? So I love that this is the group of women that you're helping. And I love that you're telling them get back to basics, because let's face it, especially in this digital world that we live in, life is so complicated. Do this. And really, we can survive without all this extra stuff. We just don't think we can because of this world that we're currently living in. So what led you to sort of walking the path for people who don't know your personal story? What led you to helping this particular group of people?
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you that exactly what you were saying. After I had my first kid and I was looking around and I was seeing okay, me and all of my friends, we got education and we're climbing the corporate ladder and we're doing this, we're doing that. And I was like, but I want more. I had so much fun in my 20s. I'm not going to lie. I traveled, I hung out. It was so carefree. And I'm like, why can't I still have the carefree? And it's well, because now I own a house and I'm married and this. It doesn't have to feel so heavy. And for me, it started to feel so heavy. And at some point, it was really, when I was coming home, it felt like a second shift at work. It felt like I was coming home and I was like, okay, what do we need to take care of? What needs to happen? And it's the weekends weren't free. Oh, no. The weekends were not free. There's a fence. There's this. And you have to. And I was tired. It was draining. And then honestly, at some point, we really needed to focus on my older son. We needed to really focus on his social and emotional well-being and how things were going. And we needed to make a change. We kind of got to a point in our family life of where we couldn't ignore things anymore. The pandemic, really brought out a lot of things for a lot of people I know. And that's when we really thought like, okay, what can we do different? What can we do for ourselves? And slowly over time, we started to make the changes. And that's one of the things of why I love to focus on women's lives at home. Because to me, it's not about the juggling act. It's not about, okay, you're perfect at work, you're perfect at home. To me, it's about creating a sanctuary for women when they come home. They can kick their feet up. They feel freedom. They feel like they're walking in and they know what's going to happen. Things are set up. There's no more of this reaction. And at the same time, they're expecting the chaos, okay? Because we know that things are always going to hit the fan, especially if you have kids. Sure. They could be having a great day and the evening is so smooth, or they could be having a really bad day and the evening is not smooth at all. But it's just having tools in the toolkit that we can pull from and being able to simplify our life. Like when we declutter, we simplify not only the things around us, but our mindset. There's so many little things we can do. And that's what I want to bring to people. And that's really what led me to coaching, is because when I saw the change I was having, and with all of the decade of experience in clinical work and working with people, I saw the need of being able to utilize those tools to people that don't have a clinical need, that aren't depressing, anxious, OCD, all of this stuff that you will go to therapy for. That's why I love coaching. It's really an easy door to walk in and be able to work with someone that can help you on what's going on right now and actionable steps for you to take.
Absolutely. And I love that you describe it the way you do, because the wall that I run into with my coaching clients is, well, I don't really need therapy, so I don't know that I need a coach. And explaining to people who maybe have never done coaching in any way, shape, or form before, it's not about the therapeutic aspect. It's about bringing aspects of therapy into your regular life to make your regular life easy. And if no one has shown you how to do that, you need an example. And that's exactly what you're giving mothers, is this example. Decluttering, for example, so huge, especially when you have little children, because there are toys everywhere. Things get messed up. Pillows end up on the floor, like whatever it happens to be. And if you're consistently stressed out and worried because you have clutter everywhere, then you're consistently running through your day stressed out and worried. Even if you're not sitting looking at it in that moment, you're making dinner, but you're thinking, well, after dinner, I have to put the kids to bed. I have to give them a bath. I have to clean up the living room. I have to do all these other things. So having a structure like you do to be able to say to your clients, here's how we put some of those things in a box so we don't have to stress about them all the time. Such a big difference, especially for working moms. So
Absolutely.
I imagine
we're busy. Right. We're busy. We're busy as it is. We ain't got time to think about things that we don't need to think about. And if there's a lot of toys, well, somebody let those toys come into the house, and that's okay. That's where you're at. But there's other kids that could enjoy those toys that are less fortunate. There's so many ways. And kids will find, kids are resilient. I'm telling you. I think that's what I'm saying, is that we put it on ourselves at a lot of the times, is we think, well, I need to buy them toys for all of the holidays or birthdays. And that's where I come in and say, well, is that a family value? And that's fine. Maybe giving gifts is your love language. Maybe right. That's the way you feel appreciated. But if it's not, then what about experiences? How can we bring more of things that you value, things you actually want to do with your family into the picture?
I love that. And I love that you speak about the experience part of it, because I think especially being surrounded by working moms, the one thing we are consistently chatting about, and I'm not a mother, but I'm constantly having these conversations with all of my friends who are, it's the debate of what do I give them versus what kind of experience are they having in life, and this Christmas, especially, there is a huge conversation in my social circle about what are we going to do? Because we don't want a house full of things. We want a kid who's full of life. And so that debate is starting to happen. And I think COVID has really done that for a lot of people. What kind of life are we living? What kind of experiences are we having versus the stuff that we just accumulate? So when you start working with moms or just working women in general, do you have a hard time getting that shift in mindset, or has it really been easier, especially because of COVID, because people are just naturally making that transition now?
I think by the time that people are coming to me, there's a pain point. That pain point and what we work on may look a little bit different, right? Like you start somewhere, you end up somewhere else. But at that same time, it's people are at a point of where they recognize like it's just too much. They may not recognize that it's too much because they need to declutter. They may not recognize it's too much because they're wearing 20 million hats at once and they don't have a single free hour in the day, right? Whatever that too much is, there's already a pain point. And that's what I really work on is to that's why my 4-step method is self. It's really going in to what's going on, what is really happening to you and how did it get here? And what would you like for it to look like instead? Because if we really focus on what you would like for it to look like instead, we can easily pave the road to get there. If you're saying you don't want to be cleaning up all day, every day, well, the easiest way is to get rid of stuff, right? But that's the easiest way. But that doesn't mean that may work the best for you.
Right.
So maybe it would be having a partner or kids or someone taking responsibilities for cleaning up some of the time. Maybe it's to be outsourcing, getting help to come in to clean up. Whatever it may be, it looks different. And that's why I love coaching, is because it looks different for everybody. And we work and we mold it because I want it to fit well with the person's lifestyle. There's no one size fits all. For me, I love that I've simplified my life. I love that we've simplified our home, things like that. But somebody else could walk in and be like, this looks bare. Like they only have like this, and this. But for me, like, I'll give you an example. For us, we have like a open concept, and we have half of our living room as like TV and couch. And then on the other side, we have a small, but like an indoor basketball hoop. Because for my family, my boys love to run around and play basketball. They do. So I much rather have that than more furniture as a sitting area that we don't use. But that's what works for my home. People are like, oh my God, you're crazy. They're going to break the doors and blah, blah. But that for us, it's more important to have fun and have the memories of just being able to be a family and kids being able to run around on that side of the living room versus having a sitting area that nobody uses. Right. There's creative ways that we could really think about what would you like your life at home to look like? What are things that are missing? What's missing from your family time at home or from you and your partner's time at home? And what are some of the pain points? Is it laundry? Is it cooking? What is it that you're really, because all of those things add up. That's the thing. At the end of the day, if you're not able to easily go to sleep because you're still thinking about the dishes in the sink, like let's tackle, because guess what? Even if you get rid of those dishes, new dishes are going to show up.
Right.
Like, and that's where I come in and people really kind of see more of the light and they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, it's not about what can you do right now. It's what routine and habit and ways we can come up with. So that way this isn't something you're thinking about before bed anymore.
Right. Or stressed out and thinking about in the morning. And it's those questions that are so important. Simply sitting down, because we all are busy. We all live this crazy, chaotic world, but asking yourself, what would my ideal be if I could change things? And I don't know maybe necessarily how to do that. What would my ideal day look like? What would my ideal week look like? What would my ideal home look like? And then that gives us a starting place as coaches to be able to help you navigate whatever those baby steps are. But so often we are so busy in the chaos of our lives, we don't stop to ask those questions. And that's really where it needs to start. So I love that that's where you start with people, because I think a lot of us, if we actually sat down and asked ourselves, what is that ideal picture? It would look very different than the life we're currently living.
Yep. And that's where I come in and say, but it's okay. Like before you get like upset with yourself, before you're like, oh, it's just like it's too far down the road. I can't see myself getting there. That's where I come in and say, but it's obviously small steps. It's what little things can we start with? Because you can get there. But guess what? It is going to take time and it is going to take work. But if that truly is at the core of your ideal mission, you'll get there. If you want your Christmas to look differently this year, it's going to look different. If you want more experiences, you're going to start to naturally Google and look for something and get an idea and then maybe book something. And then, oh, okay, we're going, like things start to go and to go forward. And I love that you said, what does your ideal life look like at home? Because that's exactly what I say. What do you want your evenings to look like? What do you want your family time to look like? What do you want your kids to remember about their life growing up in the home? Think about it. Do you want it to be the home that everybody hung out at? Do you want it to be the home of where, you run around in pajamas and Saturday mornings are just a free for all? There's so many ways. And when we kind of look at it from that point of view, it becomes a lot clearer because those things we already know. We already know because we've thought about it.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the question, like, as you're talking about this, the thing I'm thinking of, and I'm not even a mom, but literally everyone I know has children. So I am the auntie everywhere. And for me, when they come over, the ideal is like, be in your pajamas. Let's bake together. Let's have breakfast together. Let's, whatever that fun thing is that each child enjoys. And if you can create a life around whatever that experience is, you're going to be in a far happier place overall.
Absolutely. Create that. Create a space for yourself that you love. And then it's a lot easier to create the relationships at home to get you there. And then it's just about the maintenance and the habits and the routines. So that way you actually put the next foot in front of the next one. And just how you were saying, you're the auntie. You like activities. That's what I'm picking up. You like activities to do when someone comes over. That's
Right.
what they'll remember. They might not remember exactly baking, but they'll remember, oh, we did stuff.
Right.
Right. And for somebody else, it may be something more simple of like, I love a good movie night. Like when, for my nephews and nieces, when they come over, then, it's the one time they get to play video games all day because they don't get to play them all, whatever it is,
Sure.
but why not? Why does it have to be that one time? Right. Like, how can we build more of that? Because I know that, when my kids come home at the same time, a lot of times I see what happens is that we all have good intentions. Okay. Then kids come home or even a partner comes home and the mood just shifts. And then it's like, okay, well, now the day's done because someone's upset or this happened, that, and that's where I come in and say, whoa, how can we minimize that as well? Right? What do you need to do to get yourself back to that positive space? You may not be able to get them back to a positive space, but having tools, thinking ahead of time, all of these things really make a difference in the long run.
Huge difference. And, you and I are recording this episode just before Christmas. It may air before the end of the year, it might air at the beginning of the year, because most people like to start off the new year with change. And everybody goes gung-ho about like, these are the things I'm going to go all in on. And for most people, life gets in the way because they try to change too much too quickly. And, 4 weeks into the new year, they're like, well, I fell off the wagon a little about this thing, so I'm just going to throw it all out the window. So if you could give people who are listening to this one tip or two tips or whatever it happens to be about the changes that they want to make now that a new year is coming, what would those tips or changes be?
Absolutely. Honestly, it's a really simple exercise, which is coming up with your family's values. Because once you have your family values at home, I'll tell you for mine, we have a list of about like 8 values. They're up on the fridge. And the number one value is peace in the home. So to us, once we do anything, it's like we look back, well, is that really peace in the home? Does it check one of these values? It's a way to start the new year. It's a way to be able to include your family and figure out and get you guys on the same page. Come up with a few family values, put them up, and then gradually as things happen, you can look at them and say, oh, does this match or this doesn't match? It's going to be a lot easier to make decisions and steer yourself in the direction you want to go. And I'm telling you, if you do that by the end of the year, without even knowing, you're going to look at that and you're going to say, oh, you know what? We've actually been working on this. I didn't even realize. Because I think things like that, when we kind of get down to the nitty gritty of like, this is what's important, this is what my non-negotiable is. Once that's clear, it's so much easier to get to the next step and make decisions when things come up. Because what happens when we get off track with New Year's resolutions is, oh, well, I got distracted. Oh, well, this happened, or da-da-da-da. This is just a way to keep your compass for your internal self. And it doesn't have to be family values. It could be your own values as well for personal, but simple. Make a short list. I'm not even going to say only do 5. No, I'm just going to say what works for you and be realistic. That's all.
I love this. And I love that you can do this as a family activity, because kids, regardless of their age, like I'm thinking of my nieces and nephews, and, my best friend has 3-year-olds and a 6-year-old. And I'm thinking, the 6-year-old is going to give me a totally different answer as to what's important to her than the 3-year-old, right? The 3-year-old is going to say candy or playing outside, like one of those things. And that's okay, because you can add it to the list. They can be a part of the process. And then as they grow and change, as you said, as you reevaluate throughout the course of the year, those things can also change. So I love the idea of this. And I love that even people without families can do it, because it is sort of your guiding compass for the year, right? And you can, as you change, as your values change, as your life circumstance changes, your compass can change along with it. Nothing is permanent. It can constantly be evolving, just like you are.
Yes. Absolutely. I love your summary. And I would also add to the fact that, once it's a lot easier to get to where you're going when you know what you want at the end of the day, and we all talk about baby steps, and baby steps are important, but just get going on something, like get shit done and move on. Like just pick something, because we tend to procrastinate. We tend to be the reason we don't do stuff. And I'm tired of that. I'm ready to build a community of women that are taking their life to the next level at home. That's what I'm on a mission to do. That is what I believe we need in this world. We need more happy moms. And that doesn't mean that they need to start doing more. They need to start doing less. They need to start going back and say, hey, is it more of a priority for my kid to be in different activities? Or is it more of a priority for us to spend time together at home? Whichever way it is, it doesn't matter. It's your life. It's your family. So just figure it out. Let's get going. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help people figure it out as well.
I absolutely love that. And since, we're coming up at the end of our time here, I do want to make sure that we mention where people can find you, because people who are listening to this podcast and they're thinking, wow, maybe I need her in my life. Maybe I need to be a part of this community. How can people find you so that they can be a part of it?
Absolutely. If you are a working mom, head on over to sashaxhome.com and grab the freebie, which is 5 steps to coming home happy after work, so that you can start to walk in the door and be a little lighter and a little brighter at the end of your day. And I love my community on Facebook as well. I have a Facebook group and I go live. I share tips. We talk. I'm in there all the time.
I love that. And I will, of course, for everyone who is listening to the podcast, share in the show notes all the links, all the fun stuff, everything that you need to be able to not just find Sasha, but follow and become a part of the community. I thank you so much for joining me today, Sasha, because this has been wonderful. And I think it's sort of timely. We're coming up on the end of the year and the start of a new year. And people start to sort of think about, well, what has this last year been? What have I not enjoyed about the life that I'm living? What do I want to change for the new year? And I think it's the perfect time for people to be reminded, we don't have to do it all at once. It can be baby steps. And in fact, in most cases, it should be, because that's the only way lasting change happens. And you don't have to do it alone, because so often, especially as moms, you have a mindset of, I have to figure it all out because that's my responsibility as a mom. But there is a great community of women around the world who can help and support and offer whatever availability there is to help you down whatever that path is. So thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely. And thank you for your time. I love Chasing Happiness. I love the fact that you're bringing a community together, because I truly believe we need a little more sunshine in this world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you who are listening. I appreciate that you come back week after week. I cannot tell you, 6 years into this podcast, how much you all have changed my life. And being able to have conversations like this with Sasha, it literally is the highlight of every day of my life. And I get to share it with you guys. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you all have a magical week, and we will chat with you next week. Bye for now.